Hello, I am Philip Stoughton. I am at Apex 2025. I'm on the Co-Young booth and I'm joined by Chris from Worthington Assembly. Chris, thanks for joining me again. We chatted last year. You introduced me to your podcast. I've been listening to that. That's been fascinating. Let's just start there. Have you seen any change in what people are talking about on that? Are there new challenges that are really testing people, or is it the same old, same old?
You know, because the podcast is so focused on junior engineers and getting people familiar with things that the guy who's been doing it for 20 years that wants to know the latest trends, he's probably not listening to it. Okay. But his team is. And so his young people and the people he's hiring, they're going to be listening to it. We like to keep it simple. We keep to the basics.
Yeah. So let's focus very much on the design of printed circuit boards and how that process is done. Is that process changing as a result of AI?
I suspect it is. Yeah, I suspect it is. The vendors that are creating the software, they're constantly trying to introduce new features all the time for their customers. I suspect where they're seeing it initially is being able to develop those features faster.
Yeah.
So something that may not necessarily say ChatGPT or one of the, it may not have that type of large language model associated with it.
Yeah.
The engineers creating this stuff are probably using large language models to get those features out quicker. Accelerating that.
Yeah, to develop and push that through. You're at the EMS Leadership Summit yesterday. How was it?
It was great. Yeah, it's always great. Yeah. You always get so much out of it. Yeah. Sometimes you sit through these sessions and you think to yourself, like, I don't know, this is going on a while, and they just said all this stuff I already know, and you start to zone out, and all of a sudden they'll say one thing, and you're like, oh, let me write that down.
So you always take a picture of that slide.
Yeah, exactly. So you always get something out of it, for sure.
Yeah. I always feel the same about any of these events. Sometimes you don't know what you're going for. You don't know what it's meant to deliver, but you maybe meet someone. There's a networking opportunity. There's a new piece of technology that you weren't expecting.
I remember 10 years ago just walking around and seeing a 3D AOI for the first time, and I was like, what is that? I had no idea they even existed yet until I came to the show.
And do you have one now?
Oh, yeah.
Of course you do. There you go. Anything you're looking for this year that you've got like a problem to solve?
I would love to know more about automated X-ray.
Okay.
These packages now, they're getting so dense. So they're taking, it's not like we're just taking a semiconductor and soldering it to a circuit board anymore, and just chips and resistors. We're taking modules that have multiple layers of multiple things, and they put a shield on it. They're so complex. And then when our customers tell us, hey, we can't get this thing to work, this stack up of complexity there is an enormous challenge for us to figure out why isn't it working. I would love to have some nice X-ray vision to be able to look through and go, okay, where did we go wrong here? So that's what I'm going to spend some of my time here looking for.
And is that something you see as an inline activity or an offline activity, you think?
Honestly, I think traditionally it's been done offline. I would love to do it inline. And I suspect, I mentioned AI, large language models, right? But that same type of technology is also being used to analyze images.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I really want to see some of these AOI guys, some of these X-ray guys start to use some of this intelligent image analysis. And I'm hoping to come across somebody who's like, we get it, we know what you're looking for, and here it is.
Yeah, I think what I'm excited about when I think about that, because I know people are working in that area in X-ray and in SPI and AOI, and I'll definitely point you in the right direction when we finish this. When we finish this interview. But I think what's really exciting is the idea of what you can do with that data when it's all synthesized. The role of AI, maybe interrogating all the AIs that these guys have got and saying, hey, you guys have got a bit of a process issue that's appearing in these places, and it's because SPI sees this, AOI sees this differently, and X-ray sees this differently, that you can identify that. That's where it gets game-changing and exciting.
And I think some of the technical sessions I went to on Sunday were talking about that. How can we take data from your pick-and-place machine, from your SPI machine, from your AOI machine, put that all together so that when you have a problem, we can figure out it's this nozzle on this machine that's clogged that's causing your issue.
And how can you be talking to that machine and getting that nozzle cleared in real time so you can make that improvement. Just going back to yesterday's summit, what do you think were the big issues that people in the audience were bringing to the table as challenges? I don't know if tariffs came up. I'm constantly talking to people about tariffs, and I don't know if it's boring. It doesn't seem boring. It's changing
I
so
think
fast. It's exciting.
More than anything, everybody's just not sure. It was just this level of confusion. We would bring up tariffs, but nobody knew what to say about it or what to do about it. It's this kind of unknown thing that makes everybody nervous and uncomfortable. So it would come up in conversation, but then we quickly switch gears. And I would say, by far, the thing we talked about most yesterday was people, and it was how do we develop our team? How do we talk to generations of people that maybe we're not used to talking to?
Yeah.
So what are the values of somebody who's in their 60s versus the values of somebody who's 25 years old?
Yeah.
And how do you make your work environment a great place for these people, whether they are 60 years old or 25 years old, and that they get value out of the work that they do? So there was actually a lot of discussion just about building your team and making them feel welcome and comfortable and providing the best work that they can.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and you had the perfect keynote for that at the session yesterday, and the round table with Audrey and Catherine from McGuckin Group. I think that was
awesome.
Hugely valuable. But then listening to Kevin give the keynote this morning talking about AI and the role of AI, and I think of the role of AI in terms, he talked a lot about the role of AI in terms of maybe doubling your revenue with 30% less people, and that is maybe necessary because of the shortage of talent there. But AI's also got a role in the development of talent. It's got a role in training. It's got a role in, communicating and getting out in the market. Do you see those things, people thinking about that synthesis of AI and talent? Because that's challenging.
Absolutely. And we're a small business, right? We're only about 40 people. For us to be able to deploy engineers to figure out how to use AI on these things is going to be, it's nearly impossible for us. However, we're going to find people who are working on these things that are offering those solutions to small businesses like us that can, here's how we can leverage AI to improve your talent, to train your people, and just to, just somebody that would take 2 or 3 years to get to a certain level. Can we do that in 6 months? That sounds really exciting to me.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing, and I had a long philosophical conversation with someone about the training of talent using AI, and the fact that a lot of what AI does is take out a lot of those junior roles that the people that are now senior engineers, the people that are now ops managers did previously. We need to figure out how we leverage all that tribal knowledge that's out there so it doesn't disappear. Somehow it gets sucked into the AI machine. But we also need to figure out a way of making sure that we put the young people through the same pain and challenges that we went through, not because it's right for them to do that, but because it shapes them from the future and they learn. So I think that's one of those things that's yet to be defined.
And I would say, as far as I have not seen yet AI replacing people's jobs.
No.
I've only seen it augmenting people and augmenting their capability of doing something. I know me personally, I'll just give you a real quick anecdotal example. I was trying to figure out, I was in some CAD software and I was trying to figure out, how do I create the shape of this? I'm trying to create this complicated shape. I couldn't figure out. I'm on YouTube, on Google. I can't figure it out. I type it into Gemini, and then it's exactly what I was looking for. And the ability to prompt AI, I think, is something that's going to become almost like a something you put on your resume. Expert AI prompter, or whatever. I don't know what we're going to call it.
I think it's huge. I think it's this idea of an AI sandwich where, if you can get the prompt right and the input right, and you can get the data input right, that's really important. And if you can read what comes out the other end and say, hey, that's almost perfect, but if I do this, it's a perfect output.
Even if it gets me 80% of the way there, it just gets me closer.
It's a massive productivity benefit for you.
Because there's a concern about hallucination, right? We talk about hallucinating. It answers so confidently, even when it's incorrect. But as long as you know that in the back of your mind and you're using it as a guide to get you 80% of the way there, it's still a huge help.
It's huge. Game-changing stuff. Chris, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Continued success, and I look forward to talking again next time.
Thanks so much. Thanks.
Thank you.